Hello, my name is Sam Luna, and the movie I will be reviewing today is American Sniper. I was pleasantly surprised and very much enjoyed this movie. It kept my attention the entire time I watched it. I have many family members who have served in the military, so I had strong emotional ties. It made me come to realizations about their experiences, which is why I believe I liked the movie. It was difficult to watch, but the message is a very important one.
Not to quit.
I'm not most men, sir. I don't quit.
This is where the fun stops, guys!
Take it, girls, take it!
Chris Kyle is the main character of this movie. He is a Navy SEAL sniper and served 4 tours in Iraq. The mental health condition displayed in this movie is post-traumatic stress disorder, also known as PTSD. PTSD is classified by intense emotional reactions after exposure to a traumatic event. The diagnosis is when these symptoms occur 1 month or more after the event. There is no set time, and individuals should be assessed all the time for PTSD. In this case, the traumatic event was his war experiences as being one of the most lethal snipers in American history. There was not much time in the movie that was dedicated towards his therapy and medication. But towards the end of the movie, after Chris's 4th tour in Iraq, he goes to the VA office and is speaking to a psychiatrist. His psychiatrist tells him he is credited with over 160 kills, and with serving 4 tours, this means he has spent over 1,000 hours overseas. He then says how he thinks this has affected Chris. Chris states that the thing that haunts him more than the kills are all of the guys he could not save. This demonstrates Chris's experiencing survivor's guilt. The psychiatrist then shows Chris other soldiers at the VA who suffer from both mental and physical illness. Chris begins to spend more time with them and eventually becomes a mentor to them.
What's not you?
I was just protecting my guys. They were trying to kill our soldiers, and I'm willing to meet my creator and answer for every shot that I took. The thing that haunts me are all the guys that I couldn't save. I'm willing and able to be there, but I'm not. I'm here. I quit.
So you wish you could have saved more guys?
Yes, sir.
You can walk down any hall in this hospital. We got plenty of soldiers need saving.
Mm-hmm.
Want to take a walk?
Sure.
All right. I want to show you something.
I still smoke. Can't be too mad at it because it kind of saved my right hand.
How so?
Based on what I have learned in class, there is a delay in recognition in people with dementia. They numb and reduce their involvement with the outside world. Chris displayed this when he would come home by zoning out when his wife was talking to him because he was reliving the war in his mind. This is also known as flashbacks and intrusive thoughts. Denial and repression are also common. Chris showed this when his wife would ask questions about his time in Iraq and he would refuse to answer or give her any details. A constricted or blunted affect is common. Chris displayed this affect when he arrived home and was at a neighborhood barbecue. He was distant and not participating in conversations. Re-experiencing the traumatic events is also common. The sound of a drill triggered Chris because one of his enemies in Iraq used a drill to torture people. A dog also triggered him at the barbecue because he was running from a dog in Iraq.
Your kids jump on him, like I need you there as like a lover, you know? Hey, maybe you could even coach, you know? Kenna's gonna lose that tooth, and I'm so worried she's gonna swallow it, like in her sleep or something. And she said she'd let you pull it, but only you. Would you do that?
Unfortunately, there is no holy grail medication to treat PTSD. Some medications that are effective in treating PTSD are SSRIs, such as Paxil and Zoloft, but it really depends on each patient's individual symptoms. It is important to note that we do not substitute PTSD for something that is addicting, meaning we should try non-pharmacological treatments first. Although SSRIs are the first line, they are known to be ineffective for many patients. TCAs and MAOIs are second line and are antidepressants. Trazodone and prazosin are adrenergic inhibitors that can be used for insomnia and nightmares. Some non-pharmacological treatments are social activities for social skills and groups that focus on things such as self-esteem and anxiety. An effective milieu for PTSD patients is one where the patient has trust with the nurse. The nurse should be non-judgmental, empathetic, and supportive. Safety and security of the milieu is important as well due to the risk of suicide. As mentioned earlier, a milieu that provides groups on self-esteem, stress management, and relaxation techniques would be used.
Yeah, but hey, man. You know that kid could have taken out like 10 fucking Marines, right?
Yeah, but I killed him.
You did your job. It's in the story.
Yeah, it's just not how I envisioned that first one to go down.
Something that I learned from this movie that I will be using in future practice is that as a person who does not have PTSD, it is important to have patience with the patient who does. The relationship between Chris and his wife was very interesting to me throughout the whole movie. I think my biggest takeaway is that yes, obviously the one suffering needs treatment, but their family members, especially spouses, need help as well. I'll be taking the importance of family education and counseling in my future practice. This is important to avoid compassion fatigue and vicarious victimization, also known as secondary PTSD.
Chris.
Go, get the fuck out of here. We'll come back for them.
Baby.
A short-term goal I would have for the patient in this movie is that he participates in group therapy activities with other members at the VA. He was seen demonstrating this towards the end of the movie. A long-term goal is that he gains an increased understanding of PTSD. This can be demonstrated by him verbalizing that he has PTSD and linking his symptoms with PTSD triggers. Unfortunately, since this movie is based off of the real Chris Kyle, it was stated at the end of the film that he was killed by a veteran in whom he was trying to help. Based on limited knowledge, I know Chris was able to fulfill these goals in the too short time he had after his time serving. He mentored veterans and volunteered his time frequently at the VA. A primary nursing diagnosis for Chris right after he got back home from Iraq would be social isolation related to past traumatic experiences, as evidenced by being withdrawn and a preoccupation with own thoughts. Nursing interventions that are effective and appropriate for Chris, a patient with PTSD, is to be non-judgmental. This means offering empathy and acknowledging that their trauma is unjust. The patients need to be reassured that they are not crazy for what they are experiencing. Nurses need to encourage safe verbalization so they are not suppressing their emotions. We also need to encourage our patients to establish relationships and reach out for help when necessary.
Y'all look after our women, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, it's a big responsibility. You up for it? All right, see you later, babe.
I love you.
I'll be back.
How are you? Good? It's gonna go about 2 hours.